Chronicle Live on Facebook. A great night for Newcastle United up at St James's Park. They've beaten Burnley 3-1, and it was a very good performance by Newcastle United. All the build up to this game has been about how Newcastle play, the style of play, the formation, and Newcastle, especially in the first half, really good. Took the game to Burnley very well, and Steve Bruce is possibly showing his critics that he can play a bit of attacking football. I don't know what you guys thought of the game. The conditions probably made it a little bit easier to be a bit more entertaining. It's not stopped raining all day, has it? But the return of Alan St-Maximin really was the difference. Let us know in the comments what you made of his performance. Like we say, it was 3-1. And really from the word go, Alan St-Maximin, they just couldn't handle them. Now, in the first half, Burnley were all over the shop. Some of the worst defending I think I've seen in quite a while, and that includes watching Newcastle as well. St Maximin absolutely tortured them. He got the first goal, but let's talk about the game in general. You know, Wilson had the first chance, almost caught Nick Pope out in the goal. Now, he would have seen Jordan Pickford make a mistake today, and he made several mistakes, Nick Pope. Arguably not the answer to replace Jordan Pickford for England. He kicked the ball straight off Callum Wilson, and he was very lucky that it didn't end up in the back of the net. Moments later, Alan St-Maximin, who was just everywhere across the pitch, started on the left, but kind of a free roll, really. He just ran at the defence. You've got to put that down with a caveat. The Burnley defence were very poor, but Alan St-Maximin ran towards the defence, went left, went right, went left and right again, and then just picked his spot, curled it in at the corner. It reminded me a bit of Peter Beardsley, I thought, with a little jink, shoulder drop, but Burnley were terrified of him throughout the whole game until he went off. They just could not handle him. They were kicking him quite a bit in that first half, weren't they? Phil Bardsley was having a bit of a nightmare with him. And then Hendrick, right in half-time against his old club, he could have made it 2. He arguably should have made it 2. The ball, it was a cross from Shelvey, landed at his feet. He was unmarked, brings it down. He kind of dallied, kind of paused a little bit, and then he sliced it into the side net, and that should have really been 2-0, but Newcastle went in the break 1-0 up, and it was really a positive first half. Burnley couldn't lay a glove on them, but whatever was said at half-time, that Burnley dressing room, Sean Dyche obviously must have given them a rocket up the backside, because Burnley came out and dominated the opening bit of that second half. As David Marshbank says, Newcastle didn't start too well in the second half, and that's because Burnley really improved and took the game to Newcastle, whereas in the first half, Newcastle took the game to Burnley, other way around. Burnley really dominated the opening quarter of the second half, and Newcastle struggled for a little bit. Darlow had to make a save from a Wood header. They probably weren't helped by the fact Fabian Schär had to go off. He had a bit of a shoulder injury in the first half. He couldn't make it through the second, so he went off, and Emil Kraft went into the middle. Manquillo came on, and just after that sub was made, sort of right on the hour mark, Westwood hits a volley kind of into the corner, or in the centre of the goal, and Darlow had no chance. But the disappointing thing there was that Newcastle didn't clear the lines from the corner, and Westwood, it was relatively unmarked, but it was a great goal. Newcastle arguably should have done better defending it, but Darlow had no chance. But if you don't clear your lines, it's always going to happen. There's always the opportunity of the opposition getting a shot off. It was a great goal, and at that point you think, how are Newcastle going to do? They've got to react really well here. They've got to keep their heads. They've got to get down, and within a few moments, Alan St-Maximin just bursts down the right, and he beats 2 defenders. I mean, he left them for dust, and then the ability to then get his head up at that pace and put it into the box was brilliant. And Callum Wilson was there, tapped it in. It was a really good run by St Maximin. He just was on fire tonight. A little word as well for Emil Kraft in the build-up of that goal, because the ball was cleared. Kraft brings it down, moves forward and plays St Maximin down the wing. It was a really good bit of play from the defender, who I thought over recent games has done quite well, quietly impressing, but it was all about St Maximin, this goal. The pace, the precision, the creativity, the vision to set Callum Wilson up. And again, Callum Wilson showing what Newcastle have been missing, that man to hang on the last man of defence, to gamble in the box is what Newcastle have been missing for the last season and a bit, and they've brought him in to do that, and he gambled, easy goal, a tap in, and then St Maximin had to go off for Fraser. He limped off, hopefully just a bit of cramp. I'm sure we'll find out from Steve Bruce in the press conference. And on came Ryan Fraser. And what a great opportunity for Fraser to get some more minutes under his belt. But great to see the bench as well, the options Newcastle had on the bench. I mean, later Sean Longstaff comes on. I mean, Almiron doesn't. Andy Carroll doesn't come on. So it's a strong bench. Fraser does come on and instantly wins a penalty. Nick Pope had another mare. It's a back pass. It's a poor control. Bobbles up off his right foot. Fraser reacts quickest, and Pope just wipes him out. Pope doesn't get sent off for it, but it is a penalty. And Callum Wilson dinks it down the middle. It was a really good penalty, and Callum Wilson just looks like that kind of striker that we've probably all grown up watching at Newcastle, or we haven't had one in quite a while. Someone that can score goals like Callum Wilson, and that's now 4-4. He looks really good. He looks like money well spent. I'm sure wherever Mike Ashley was watching this game, he'll be quite happy at the investment he's put on Callum Wilson, because he just looks dangerous. If Callum Wilson's getting a chance, you're betting your wage, but you are hypothetically betting your wage that he's going to get a goal, and a great penalty. And from then on, Newcastle just looked comfortable. Burnley looked shell-shocked. Hendrick was very nearly in with a chance. It was a Shelvey cross, short free kick. Shelvey puts the ball in. It beats everybody to the back post. And Charlie Taylor just lets Hendrick run past him. He's blindsided, really. And Hendrick, any touch on that, any touch at all, and that's in against his former club. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it, and it goes out. But Newcastle look comfortable into the finish. And then Sean Longstaff comes in on final few minutes, and his first effort literally comes on, bombs forward, curls one just past the post. He very nearly made it 4-0, and that would have been the perfect send-off, or the perfect ending to what was a very good game in the end. Like we say, Steve Bruce has faced criticism over his style of play, his tactics. Tonight he got it spot on. There was a moment, like we say, the Burnley leveller, where things were looking, in that moment Newcastle had to react well, and clearly they did. They've won this game 3-1. It could have been more. And Newcastle United into the top 6. And with a quarter-final in the League Cup. On paper, it looks an absolutely brilliant start this season, doesn't it? How are you guys feeling about it? Really good to get a win going in to the international break. And that's their first win at home this season. Of course, they've only lost to Brighton this season. So it's a good start. 7 points out of possible 12. Of course, things need to improve on the yard, but tonight, if they can build on the performance tonight and the way it looked when they dominated, and granted, Burnley were not good. They've not started this season well. That's 3 defeats out of 3. The defence were all over the place at times, and it was quite easy for Newcastle at times, because the defence were so scared of the likes of the likes of St Maxim. Bardsley was terrified of him, and they just backed off. And when you back off St Maxim, he's always going to capitalise on that, isn't he? Who else? I mean, Joe Linton as well. I think there was some shock that Joe Linton maybe started ahead of Almiron and maybe Ryan Fraser, but he played well tonight, I thought, and maybe they found that position when he hasn't got the pressure to score goals. And I know that sounds daft given he's a number 9 and he costs £40 million, but there were a few examples where he got the ball, he was deep, he got the ball, and he turns and he just sets whoever away. He set Fraser away, who very nearly lobbed Pope with 10 minutes to go or so, and Pope nearly got caught out by that. But that was all about Joelinton's turn and pass on halfway to set him through. He just looks more comfortable without that pressure, and when he is allowed to drop deep and pick the ball up and turn and run. So maybe we found the position for Joelinton. What does that mean for Almiron? What does that mean for Andy Carroll? Well, look, they're nice dilemmas to have for Steve Bruce. Of course, the players want to be playing every week, but it's a good dilemma you want to have to make them tough choices, don't you? And it's really good. And just in general, just a good performance for Newcastle. I'm going to dive into some of the comments now. We've got Gary James Curran saying, better, much better. First 20 minutes, second half were a bit ropey. Yeah, 100% agree. We've got Peter Hennessy saying St Maxim had a great match before going off injured. Hopefully, like we say, it's just a bit of cramp. He was kicked off the park, and Callum Wilson is the goal scorer we've needed. Happy days. Totally agree. I think everyone will agree with that. It's just happy days before going into the national break. Spot on there. Gemma Lowison says, had me worried at the start of she says first half. I think she might mean second half, because Newcastle were second best for a bit of that second half, but they got back out. Dave Smith, cut players need to be in better positions on the pitch for the second ball. Alan St Maximin, undoubtedly the match winner. Questions how Bardsley never got booked for the, well, didn't get booked for the fouls, and he says a decent display. 100% agree with you guys. Some positivity to go in to the international break, and after this week, it felt like a game that needed a good performance. It felt like Newcastle couldn't just win this game, that they needed to perform well, and I think they have done. I think they did do, and by your comments, you're happy with that as well. Any other questions, pop them in, and I'll try and answer them. You can read the match report online. We've got 5 things going up. We'll have a podcast later as well, the stats piece, and all the quotes from the players as well. But I think, just in general, just nice to finish this opening few weeks of the season on a high. Newcastle into the top 6. And on paper, like we say, it looks a good start. And this is a good foundation. Newcastle need to now build on what happened tonight, take it forward. Of course, they've got Manchester United after the international break. And just try and look a bit more pleasing on the eye. And I'm sure Steve Bruce will be happy with the performance tonight, and he'll have something else to say to his critics, perhaps. And yeah, you know what I mean? He's showing them. But Newcastle now need to build on this. It has to be kind of taken in isolation. I think he needs to make sure that this happens more often against the teams like Burnley. It didn't happen against Brighton, so there's kind of inconsistencies. But as long as Newcastle can build on it going forward, then we should have an all-right season. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But also you've got that semi-final, that quarter-final rather, haven't you, in the League Cup as well, which will be a bit of motivation for players. That's in December, so they've got we got 2 months for players to prove themselves, Steve Bruce, to get into that starting 11, and they'll all want to impress them to be in that quarter-final because it's a massive game. Little word for Isaac Hayden as well. Did the stuff that doesn't get noticed, really, doesn't get the headlines, but I thought he had another good game. There was a moment when Burnley were about to break, and he slides in and breaks the attack up. Look, doesn't get many goals. He had a shot on target, and it was the easiest shot for the keeper to save. That's not his forte. His forte is breaking the play up, and he did very well doing that today. And it's the stuff that goes unnoticed, the stuff that lets Shelvey and St. Maxim tick along and lets them create, because he stops the play, he breaks it up, and just allows Newcastle to do, hopefully, what we can see more of, that good stuff, that attacking stuff going forward, because at times they were unplayable tonight. Caveat, it was against Burnley, who've started poorly. But on a whole, a very good performance for Newcastle. 3-1, could have been a lot more. A double for Callum Wilson, who's looking like a very good signing. Alan St. Maximum back, on fire, ran the Burnley side absolutely ragged. A very enjoyable Saturday night. A very wet Saturday night at St James Park. As you can see, I'm not there. I'm in my house. Lee Ryder is there. He'll be bringing you the latest reactions. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. Head over to chroniclelive.co.uk, where we'll bring you all the latest reaction to this fantastic win for Newcastle United.